Okay.
Oh my
I like that like extra long pause.
God. I know. It's like quivering with anticipation.
Patient. Oh, I fucked it up.
No, we
Uh,
did it at the same time.
did we? Oh man, my
Yeah,
end
like,
is like,
my end at least.
oh, okay. Well, hopefully it comes out like on the
Right?
same.
Fingers crossed, it sounds good.
Yeah, I was just watching Muppet Treasure Island,
Fuck yes.
which is like
One of my
that was like
favorites.
my first introduction to Tim Curry when I was a kid.
Yeah, Muppet Treasure Island, and then I think it, because I unfortunately watched that at a very young age, and Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Um, and then what was it? It was oh fuck, I loved it when I was a kid. It's not a good movie. The Three Musketeers.
I remember when that came out. I don't remember
Like
the movie.
Chris O'Donnell. It's not good, but like my older sister and like the girl who lived across the street and me and like my little sister and like whatever, we would play Three Musketeers
Yeah.
fucking all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it was a
get
lot of
it.
fun.
You know, I think that was like I remember like
Tim
the
Curry was in it though. Yeah.
was he? I remember
Yeah,
like
he's
the like Wishbone version of the Three Musketeers. Like, do you remember that?
oh fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I
I
used to
used to
have a
love the
wishbone
little
stuffed
books.
animal who
Oh,
was like,
really?
yeah, he was like, and he had like the little paw on his ear. And I
Uh-huh.
think that I feel like he was dressed up like Tom Sawyer.
Yeah,
Or maybe he had different outfits.
yeah,
Something like that. And he probably came from my librarian grandmother, Mama. Probably
yeah.
almost certainly came from Mama.
I remember having a book that was like I think the Three Musketeers like Wishbone
Mhm.
version,
Yeah, I had a
and
shit ton of Wishbone books. I used to watch that on PBS. What's up, PBS?
PBS
Uh,
has good shows. I
Dude,
mean,
PBS was the fucking shit, man.
I watch a lot of it now, so a lot
Well,
of
that's because you made a tiny human.
yeah, a lot of Sesame Street. Sesame
Yeah.
Street's actually like they're like I mean they're pretty progressive. Like they're like, oh, let's take deep breaths and remember to calm down and like
Yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty great.
yeah.
I remember a few years ago watching um Sesame Street with my nieces and nephews when they were like little and still in Sesame Street age, just being like, this is funny as fuck, man. Like they're making it good so that way the parents don't like drown their kids and stuff because they have to watch this all day long. Now I will say that there's some things like what's his name? Caillou.
Caillou. I don't watch Caillou.
It's
I don't think
don't
that's on PBS Kids. So
I don't know what it's on, but one of my sisters had it playing and I was like, I'm gonna kill everybody in this house.
yeah, I think a lot of
Watch for
parents didn't like Caillou because Caillou was kind of like a whiny, really annoying character. So I don't know. But anywho, that's fun.
Oh yeah.
What are you talking about today? Because you haven't told me exactly what we're covering.
Well, oh, what time is it?
Oh,
Is it
it's I think it's a quarter till
10 hat time? It's a quarter to 10 hat. Put it on your 10 hats. It's time for us to talk about some creepy stuff. Because it's October, aka Halloween month. Yeah. I'm excited. Can you tell?
I am excited as well because you're excited and because it's
Yeah.
spooky season. And all
It
you
is
told me
spooky
was like
season.
it's really scary.
It
So,
is scary, and there's like levels to the scary of this one. So, buckle up, Megan. You and I are gonna go, and we're gonna get into a time machine.
it's a
We're
click.
gonna go to
Click
basically any time
mouse.
before I was born in the last century,
Mhm.
up in eastern Pennsylvania.
Oh, oh.
We're gonna go check in to the PennHurst Asylum.
Isn't Eastern Pennsylvania where there's like a lot of Amish?
Yes, but that's not who we're talking about today. Today we're
Okay.
talking about the PennHurst Asylum.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've
Oh,
never
you
heard.
don't know it?
No,
Oh,
no, I have no fucking idea.
excellent. So the PennHurst Asylum is super terrifying. It's like quintessential haunted asylum. It was set up in 1903 in eastern Pennsylvania, and it started out with good intentions to house and educate people who were mentally disabled or epileptic or had a hard time in society, that
Okay.
kind of thing. Like it started off like there's going to be this great big facility, and it was huge, sprawling place built on Crab Hill. I know I didn't love it either.
That's a choice for a name.
I
But
know
yeah,
I
it
didn't. Well,
sounds like
it's
it started out
Pennsylvania.
with good intentions. What year is this? Did it open?
1903.
Oh, okay, cool. So they're like doing shock therapy and shit.
Oh, babe,
Oh yeah,
buckle up.
it's gonna be
Get
awful.
buckled.
I'm
Get
just
buckled.
imagining
Uh,
American Horror Story in my brain.
yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what it's based on.
Yeah. All right.
American Horror Story. Except for American Horror Story makes a lot of hard lefts and rights in that season, which I didn't care for. That's, I think, one of the weaker seasons of
Yeah.
American Horror Story just because what was happening.
Yeah, it's a little bit too all over the map. It's like they
Yeah.
tried to mash up too many concepts. And it was
Yeah,
just like
I loved Murder House, but that is neither here nor there. So first of all, let's acknowledge some sources, shall we?
okay. All
Oh,
right.
yes,
I'm
yes,
into
yes.
it.
So Hannah Jane, did I say that already? My name's Hannah. That's Megan over there. I can't remember if we did
No,
that
I
already.
don't think that we did, but now we know that you're Hannah and I'm Megan.
Yeah, I'm Hannah. Hannah's driving the bus this week, kids. Buckle up. We're off to Pennsylvania. So I watched an episode of Haunted History, which yesterday was available for like with Prime on Amazon Prime, and today it tried to like make me pay $2.99 to rewatch this episode, and I was like, you're a bitch ass. No. So I just don't know if, but we also got a new Roku, so I don't know if it just wasn't set up correctly. Who's to say? Not me. But it's on Prime. And it was the episode of Haunted History, season 1, episode 4, The Lost Souls of PennHurst.
Okay.
And then I watched BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural because I fucking love it. It's an excellent setup for a show.
Yeah.
One diehard true believer weenie, and one skeptic who is not scared by anything ever, except for the one time a bat flies at him, but that's like a bat. It's fair. It's delicious. And that episode is in season 3, episode 5, and it was titled The Horrors of PenHurst Asylum. Listen to a couple of podcasts. Listen to East Coast Creepin', episode 7, PennHurst State School and Hospital. That was really cute, really great podcast with 4 sisters. All of their names start with an L, so I won't remember any of them. I think one of them was Lydia, and that she's not usually there, but it was cute. I liked it a lot. And then that was one that's called When Walls Can Talk podcast. And that was season 2, episode 2, titled Suffer the Little Children.
Okay.
There's also a documentary that came out in 1968 that we'll talk about a little bit later on that was titled Suffer the Little Children that I watched clips from, and I wish that I hadn't.
Oh. So we should put them up on like our Instagram.
No, we should not. And also, just so we're going to start off real quick with a pretty heavy content warning. I'm not going to get into everything that happens there because I certainly couldn't stomach looking all of it up or reading all of the papers, but just know that basically any atrocity that you could think of happening to people happened here.
Cool.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, like I said, back in 1903, there were good intentions galore. And where did good intentions lead us, Megan? You have raised in an evangelical household. Where do they lead, those good intentions?
I don't know, usually ends up being like really fucked up.
Yeah, good intention. The path to hell is paved with good intentions.
That's what it is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so it took a turn for the worse pretty quickly, and then for the horrific with the rise of eugenics.
That's a fun topic.
Is an understatement. And like I said, there's some fucked up shit that we're going to be discussing here, and we will try to do it respectfully and like have the levity be aimed at us, and it will not be aimed at the people who are tortured and abused. Yeah. But it's Halloween month, and nothing's scarier than reality and the ghosts it leaves behind. And very soon after PennHurst was opened in 1903, it became immediately overcrowded. At the worst, patients outnumbered staff 100 to 1.
Jesus Christ.
And this place has a sprawling facility. It's entirely self-sufficient. So there's 20 buildings. It has its own post office. It has its own doctors. It has its own police. It has its own farms. It has its own dairy. It has everything in itself. It's entirely outside of town. It's away from everything. It's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory of horrors. No one ever goes in. Nothing ever comes out, except for the things that do go in never come out because it has its own massive cemeteries, some of which they're not entirely sure where the location is. So that's fun too. Um,
Sweet.
yeah, so like I said, like 20 buildings throughout this whole big sprawling thing, entirely self-sufficient. So nobody was like popping in to see how things were going.
Yeah,
And
that's not
with
surprising.
staff being as low as it was, some of the more, let's just say with it, as it were, inmates or patients, whatever you want to call them, they were fucking prisoners, um, were used as nurses in the children's ward. We're going to get into that later. Custodians, farmers, field hands, dairy workers, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, then since they were super overcrowded and way understaffed, people were like tied down into beds and just left there.
Mm.
There were a lot of children who were abandoned up there by family. And excuse me, there was a like an expose thing that we'll get into in a little bit, um, where they came in with cameras and stuff and they found like kids as old as 5 and like infants like alike in these metal cribs, like barely any padding, and like all their legs were like this big around because they never got up, they never walked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like this is like really fucked up, like real thing that happened. So during the beginning of this, like it very quickly got fucked up really fast because they went from, oh, this would be a nice place to help people learn how to do things and be reintroduced into society, into this is a dumping ground for our quote unquote undesirables.
Yeah.
So eugenics started in like the late 20s, early 30s with a bunch of assholes whose names I've not bothered to write down or memorize, and they don't deserve to be remembered anyway. But fuck them, they were a bunch of pre-Nazi douchebags, which is what I have written down right here. Actually, I have a bunch of pre-Nazi pieces of shit.
Yeah.
But they decided to target the mentally challenged and undesirable groups. So PennHurst and eugenics rose hand in hand together. And there was a wide like thought that every feeble-minded person was just a potential criminal, just a criminal waiting to happen, waiting for the right opportunity. So a lot of people were horrifically abused and thought of as less than human by staff and by the directors, certainly by the directors.
Yeah.
And like they were kind of left to their own devices out there, like I said before, them being super self-contained. I'm like, people didn't come checking.
No, social work wasn't prevalent until
No.
like the
And this is
30s.
still like this is like in the 20s and 30s even. Like things get really bad throughout the entire time that it's there. Like people were like I said, chained up. People were, they started with the eugenics always goes hand in hand with the good old forced sterilization.
Yeah.
So
No.
like basically everybody who came through there was sterilized. But that was also part of a way to keep the female inmates from getting pregnant.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of sexual assault that goes on
Mm-hmm.
within even now, honestly.
Oh yeah,
There's
absolutely.
a lot of issues in homes. So
When you have people confined and other people who are like in charge of them, abuse runs rampant. It's the
yeah,
whole thing.
it's very unfortunate. I just think um there's a lack currently of social workers to be able to handle the amount of
Mhm.
cases that are necessary. Like,
Yeah.
it's there's just too much work and not enough people, basically.
Yep.
We just don't put enough pay for those people.
And
So
like some of the people, like there was a guy named Dr. Fear,
mhm.
legitimate doctor up there named Dr.
Oh, that
Fear.
wasn't like his nickname. That was like,
No, that was his name on his birth certificate. Hello, my name is, I forgot the first name, Albert Fear. Oh,
yeah.
in medical
Oof.
school? No, at no point nobody went up to him and said,
Is it
I don't,
spelled differently? Like, is it like
nope,
Phe?
Fear. It's
Oh
Fear.
fuck. Oh,
Yeah, so
that's
Dr. Fear had this group of kids that he liked a lot, that he like took care of or whatever. I don't know. They're like that he like they were his patients. And one of the boys came out one morning out of the dormitories with a big, huge gash on the back of his head. He was like, "What happened to you? What went on?" And the little boy told Dr. Fear that, it was one of the bullies who is in the dormitory with them, that he had hit him in the back of the head really hard in the night with something hard. And Dr. Fear found that boy and told him, like, "You know what, I'm gonna get you. Stay away from my boys or I'm gonna fucking get you." And like, I listened to the recording of him discussing this, because Dr. Fear tells this story to a reporter with this smug little and then listen to what I did next. Oh, you're gonna love this kind of an attitude, where it's just like, oh fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is like some Stephen King nightmare fuel horror show. Dr. Fear. What universe are we in where that was allowed to happen?
Yeah.
But so Dr. Fear, cool as a cucumber, smoking a cigarette. Probably I was just listening to the audio, but I'd imagining it.
Probably. The
And
era
he was
everybody
like, "Oh yeah," he's like, so he goes to another one of his doctor buddies and says, "What's the most painful injection that you can give somebody without it like killing them or causing permanent damage?" And the doctor's like, "Oh, this one would probably hurt someone really badly." So Dr. Fear takes it to that kid's room in the middle of the night and injects him with it a bunch of times.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Doesn't that go against like the whole like do no harm code?
Yeah, you'd like to think
doctors,
that, but not for Dr. Fear.
Yeah.
His name's
Dr. Fear.
Yeah, it's all in the name. Like, if your name is Dr. Fear, you are going to be a bad doctor. You're going to be a bad person doctor.
I feel bad for any current Dr. Fears that are out there.
Well, if you're out there as a medical doctor and your last name is Fear, I want you to take a moment to go into the bathroom. I want you to look into the mirror and I want you to look yourself in the eyes and think, is there anything better you could be doing with your time? Maybe.
Yep. Probably become a dentist. Then
no,
it's just
don't
different
do that.
type of doctor. Dentist Fear.
Band leader. No, that's Dr. Teeth. But
that's funny.
Yeah.
So he stabs his kid. Ouchie, ouchie. Very painful.
Yeah. So that's just like one incident that comes to mind of like all the horrible things that I've learned this past week while looking this shit up. It was pretty great. But there wasn't just patient or like doctor or like staff on patient violence. There was also a shit ton of patient on patient violence. Yeah. And they used the removal of patients' teeth as a punishment and like a de-incentivization. So if you bit somebody, staff or patient, you had one bite.
Yeah.
The next time you bit somebody, they pulled all of your fucking teeth out.
Jesus Christ.
I would lose my teeth immediately if I was in there. There was a lot of like really derogatory things that went down. Also, they called every single patient in there children. They were all the children, regardless of age. And the average age was like 36.
Yeah.
And the average time that people spent there was like 21 years.
This sounds
of their lives
more culty than anything, right? Like a self-contained compound. We're gonna do all this violent shit for you.
Receiving tax money, like not a lot of it, I'll grant you, but like it was a state-run place where people were sending their children. Like there were all sorts of rumors about like stuff coming out of there. There were a few lawsuits, that kind of stuff, but it wasn't until homeboy.
Dr. Fear?
No, the nice one, the hero of this tale, Reporter Bill.
Is his name Bill Happiness?
Go away.
Bill Courage?
Stop.
No?
No, I'll look up his name here in a second. But so somebody during a town hall meeting in the nearby town of whatever in eastern Pennsylvania, always great at writing my notes, me.
Yeah.
But came up to this reporter guy during after a town hall thing, was like, "Hey dude, you're Bill What's-His-Face from the news. he said, I am Bill Schlarper from the news. You're not wrong. He was like, have you heard about what's going on up at PennHurst? He was like, no, I haven't. And this guy just starts going off about like, oh, they're chaining people to beds. They're pulling out people's teeth. They're doing all sorts of fucked up McGee shit up there. And Bill's like, if like half, even like 10% of what this dude is telling me is true, then this is going to blow up. So he goes up there. Excuse me. He goes up there. I had a tickle. Pardon.
The beer will solve it.
It always does. So he goes up to PennHurst. He did some fun 60s undercover reporter shit. And he goes in and he's like, holy fuck. It's bad. It's really bad. It's very, very bad. All of this is quite bad.
Was it Michael Jackson bad?
No, it wasn't nearly that bad. Not yet. Thank you, though.
You're
so
welcome.
He goes to the director of the place who's just like, he's like, listen, so I'm a reporter. And the guy's like, get the fuck out. And he's like, no, shush and listen. I'm a reporter and I can you either give me and my camera crew full access to this place and we can try to get you some funding, or I can stand out there every single day and tell everybody who drives by what went on in this, like what's going on in here. Yeah. Because like this cannot, under no fucking circumstances can this continue. And the guy said that when he came back with his news crew, that it was like the hardest thing that they've ever filmed, and like the crew like kept like breaking down and stuff like that, and like they just wanted to leave, but like all of them knew that it was important.
Yeah.
So they interview a whole bunch of people. They shed a light on like the horrible treatment of the patients that are in there, and it's just awful. And like people naked and shaking in their own feces and like being tied to beds that they haven't been let out of, and like one woman was tied to a wheelchair just because she was blind, like over a 4-month period for a period of 1,100 hours. So it's most of that time.
Jesus.
Yeah, and she could have operated the wheelchair, so they just tied her arms down to it.
Oh.
And like every single person who went in there like regressed, like went backwards, and like it all got really bad. They performed a fuck ton of non-consensual lobotomies.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
And like a fucking shit ton of people died in this place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the population of the place?
So it was built to house about 1,700 people, and at its most it had I think 3,200 people in it.
Oh, okay.
So almost double what it was built for.
Yeah.
And it was open from like 1903 to 1987.
Oh shit, so it was open till, I mean, relatively recently.
It closed down officially. The last patient left 3 days before I was born.
Fuck.
Yeah. So overall, like tens of thousands of people went through there, and like a lot of them died.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they don't have very good records, because a lot of the people who came in also were very young children who were disposed of quickly because they didn't have room or people to take care of them.
Fuck. That's really awful. So
yeah, it was called the Great Shame of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that kind of tracks. I mean,
yeah, that feels correct. So
lots
now
of
that we
other shit in history, I was just about to say there's
also like where Gettysburg happened, but like
there's a lot of history in Pennsylvania that's like totally fucked. So yeah, no, that is shitty. So
pretty high up there.
Have people like explored it? Is it like fucking haunted?
Oh
like,
yeah, dude, it is haunted as fuck. Shall we morph now into the haunted side of it?
Yes, I'm more interested in the haunted side of it, to be honest with you.
So I'm going to take you through some of the places.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with Quaker Hall, which in every documentary they said one of the most haunted places on the campus. And then they go on to say that about every single place.
Yeah, okay. It's like they didn't edit before.
They're all a little bit sensational. And they're all
Shocking.
super haunted as well. So this first place is called Quaker Hall. No oats here. Just the criminally insane.
Okay.
So it was one of the first buildings when you came onto the campus, which some people complained about because as you came up to the admin building, you could hear the nonstop screams and cries of misery that came out of this place because it's where they put their most difficult patients, the most criminal, like the most violent patients went there into the Quaker house. And you can still hear the screams and cries of the residents across the campus to this day. And a lot of visitors have reported seeing like in one of the windows, like the figure like of a tall woman with like a white dress on, but like a starched white dress, so more like a nurse, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
There's been in multiple places in the PennHurst Asylum, there's reports of a very angry nurse, and you'll see her, and then sometimes you'll feel like a jab, like you're being stabbed with a needle.
Interesting.
Yeah. The one Haunted History episode had some pretty fun pictures of the ghost lady in the window that I was into.
Are we gonna post those on Instagram?
I'll see if I can fucking find them again, man, dude. Then yeah, hell yeah, we will.
I'd like to see them. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. And nobody knows exactly who that ghost lady is, but they think that she's probably a nurse. There were a lot of like really terrible nurses and like people who immediately kind of resorted to their most base instincts of like brutal
Being
abuse.
an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did like a lot of nurses or something die on the campus?
No, not necessarily, but not all ghosts are those who of those who have passed. When there's strong enough emotion and like physical reaction to a place or emotional reaction to a place, it can leave like an imprint. So there's enough like human misery built up in this place. And if those nurses had enough anger or hatred or just like disdain for these people and they got joy from inflicting pain, projection, then there'd be a good chance that they could leave some sort of a residue behind of that like deeply felt emotion. You wouldn't necessarily have to die there.
It's interesting.
Yeah, same thing with the residents would be able to have left behind like deep psychic scars and wounds on the places where they were traumatized and that kind of stuff without having to have had to have died there.
Yeah, just because it was such a condensed.
Yeah, like that's kind of like how condensed is a good word for it. Yeah, it was a very condensed area of misery. And interestingly, not that far off from Gettysburg, which is another extremely haunted location. So there's a lot of theories about like ley lines that run through like Pennsylvania and like that area of the northeastern United States. But
yeah,
ley lines are for a different episode.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing to pursue. I think ley lines is
ley lines are fascinating.
Is a neat topic. So
I agree. But so like there doesn't necessarily have to be like dead nurses for there to be the impression left behind of.
I didn't know if it was like one of those things where like there's a Dr. Fear and then there's like a nurse cunt or something like that. Just that's like chilling. A little stabby for everybody. Just
I love you so much. Dr. Fear doesn't haunt the location, so far as I know.
You'd think he would, you know?
You would think that.
He's got to protect his boys.
Is what sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, I said he's got to protect his boys. So
hate it. So another place in the campus that's also super haunted, one of the most areas,
yeah, okay,
of PennHurst. Also those cunts Zach Baggins and his dipshit McGee friends went there, but I didn't bother with it. I hate him so much.
That's not surprising.
There's a lot of shows where people go to the PennHurst Asylum and let people wander around with.
I'm just imagining the Ghost Adventures guys. We were locked in overnight at the PennHurst Asylum, one of the most haunted, blah blah blah. Like,
yeah, bullshit,
with the
bullshit.
terrible glasses. So I really just hate the glasses.
The way you like squinted your eyes, that like was perfect.
What's terrible is my haircut is kind of a Zach Baggins haircut. If my hair was like a little bit longer, like it would.
And
be,
if it was pitch black.
if
So
spiky.
Getting back.
Yes, not too long of a tangent. Haunted. One of the most haunted locations.
So the Mayflower Hall, super haunted. The whole fucking place is super haunted, I wrote. So this is a place where there was a lot of that patient-on-patient violence. And it said that there is a shadow man who haunts the third floor corridor. And the third floor corridor is like out of fucking control when it comes to like ghostly activity. Yeah. Like EVPs get picked up there fucking constantly. When the Ghoul Boys from BuzzFeed Unnatural or Unsolved Supernatural went there, they were picking up stuff on their little what the fuck is it, the radio thing?
They were picking up some good vibrations.
I know what you're doing and I wanted to stop. I love you so much. You're so...
I just like, I wonder though, like if you walk into a place like that and like, maybe because I'm more skeptical, but
this is not time for speculation corner. This is time for me to tell ghost stories.
Okay.
This place is deeply haunted and it is a fact. The end. Thank you for listening to our podcast. No, I'm just kidding. No, so like the Shadow Man is like, there's a lot of like compelling and super creepy photos of the Shadow Man that are out there. So
does he follow people home?
God, I don't know. I really hope not, because like nothing scares me more than a fucking Shadow Man. Because like Megan, you know, like God, the Shadow Men are so scary. I hate it so much.
There's so many times I want to suggest stuff to you or like send Shadow Man stuff to you, and I know it scares you.
I just saw my own dog's reflection move in the TV
Did
screen.
You scare yourself?
I did. Broad daylight. I don't know if you can tell that here by the everything about it and the glow. But yeah, I did just scare myself in broad daylight.
Okay, Shadow Man in the hallway.
There's Shadow Men in the hallway and they'll chase people, and like they've gotten some EVPs of things saying like untie me please, and like
kinky. So sorry. It was right there. I may be a monster. It's okay. All right, go. Moving on.
Okay, so like please stop and things like that, and like a little boy crying, and they picked up the sound of like when they heard the little kid, they're like, "How old are you?" And you can hear it say 7.
Oh.
Yeah, like little kids were like in there and stuff. And then there was also this place called Devon Hall, which
was it the most haunted place?
Was an extremely haunted, one of the most haunted places.
Okay,
on the
asylum. Just want to make sure it was one of the most.
Yeah. It was one of the most haunted places. And the most haunted place in Devon Hall is the basement, which had to be repurposed into extra dormitories because there were too many goddamn people there. Yeah. And Megan, they called this place Candyland. And they painted it in like lots of fun, bright, terrifying, horrible 50s and 60s like carousels and clowns and like weird elephants and like candy cane poles and stuff like that. Now it's all decayed and decrepit. So it's like the most horrifying thing in the world. And like you can hear the ghosts of little children and stuff. And it wasn't just like actual like kids that were put down there, but like adults too.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. And then they were just kind of left there and they just like throw food down there once a day.
Fuck.
So that place is among one of the most haunted places. This whole area is like one of the most haunted places, like probably like ever, and it has a pretty good right to be, for fuck's sake. But yeah, so there's oh shit, this was actually in the Mayflower Hall. There's a ghost of a little boy who's in one of the asylum halls where they kept the children,
Mm-hmm.
and his name is Howie. And there's a Fisher Price airplane in that fucking room, dude. Like it's in there. It's legit. I watched the footage of it, like of the people in the show going and be like, yep, there it is. Dusty ass old Fisher Price airplane from the 70s. And I guess Howie gets really mad if you touch it.
Oh, did they touch it? Please tell me they
Yeah,
fucking
they
touched
did.
it.
And right at that moment, the EVP picks up. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty
Wait,
dope.
did Zach Baggins get
I didn't
scratches
watch
on
the
his
Zach Baggins one,
legs
but
because it
people
was
do
a
get.
demon?
I hate Zach Baggins so much, so much. I didn't watch the Zach Baggins one, even. That's how much I hate him. I just watched the Haunted History episode twice. But there are also, Megan, there's some super fun tunnels in this place
Oh, that's neat.
that were originally constructed so that way, because they're in fucking Pennsylvania, where it gets, I think, 80,000 feet of snow.
Oh, 80,000. That seems like an accurate number. But
Like,
yeah, I'm assuming it's
like 12 feet, like
it's
fucking
tunnels going from building to building.
building to building, and then
Yeah.
also to the morgue and the
Yeah.
crematorium.
Yeah, so all the ghouls can just chill in the tunnels.
Basically, that's kind of what's happened down there now.
Num 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 on dead bodies.
Yes, exactly. They used to, there was like this one interview with a former patient who said that they knew that if somebody was being taken to the tunnels, that they were just never going to see them again.
Yeah.
That if they had to get to the tunnels, they were gone forever.
Maybe this place was actually run by vampires. And ghouls.
Maybe that would be save that for speculation. Take a note on that because that's a good idea.
Okay. Noted. I'll just bring up that same line.
Tunnels have like a horrific feeling to them. Like when you go into them, the psychic lady said that she can't go in there without like something like just like pressing against her. She's like, it's a lot to go down here. Like, I don't like to do it. And like she looked pretty not stoked about it on the show. So I was like, how much of a check are they waving in front of you, lady? Because she looked pretty unhappy the whole time. And not like just in show, you know, of just like I don't like being down here, my spirit guide. She's like, yeah, a lot of like really bad things happened down here. Like this is a pretty miserably saturated place.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people were just like straight up murdered down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross. But I mean, also like, do you think that that's like having a bad feeling being in a tunnel is just because like that's like human nature of like being claustrophobic, sort of like in a dark space where you know bad shit has happened? You know what I mean?
I feel like if you know bad shit has happened there, although you should watch some of these things and like I'll try to find some good pictures of this place because it is fucking terrifying, dude. It is dilapidated. It is covered in a surprising number of penises. And
I'm sorry, that's not what I was expecting you to say. Just
that's not what I was expecting to see. But there's a lot of graffiti and there's a lot of like fucked up shit painted on the walls, and it's just like falling apart, and there's like dolls with no chairs, like where, you know, like people used to use those chairs to have their teeth pulled out as a punishment for trying to bite the evil nurse who was stabbing them full of like pain medication or like painful medications that they didn't need. Yeah, because like for real, dude, the way Dr. Fear told that story, you could tell it was like kind of like common practice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised, right? Like there was a lot of like, I don't know, a lot of medical procedures until relatively recently were pretty gruesome. Like just
that wasn't a medical procedure. That was straight up just like an act of like cruelty.
I know. I guess I mean like just in general, like medical practices, like for a while, I mean, were in general gruesome. So like,
oh yeah, for sure.
It's like one of those like it almost like breeds it. You know what I mean? Like there's kind of a blur of a line for, I don't know, I can only imagine doctors in places like that. So not justifying it, but
and especially like with the eugenics being such a strong factor in that place, that like people who were hired on there were hired on by people who supported eugenics. So they hired on people who kind of supported
like like-minded, right? Like
who thought they were better than everybody else who was in there, who were just inferior. Like
it's like, oh, you want to be a Nazi too? Like you got the same, like you got the right.
Oh, well, hey there.
Yeah, like it's a, common morality. So
so the tunnels are full of like horrible nightmare creatures of despair, and laughter, like, and then also echoing sobs.
Oh, fun. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah. There's also like the ghost of a janitor guy, like a custodian, who used to like on record, there were some pretty shitty custodians there too, who would take advantage of their big ring of keys.
Not super shocking.
Yeah, and like do all sorts of horrible things to anyone that they wanted to. So there's still like the spirit, I guess, of one of the janitors who will mostly like, there's a jingle jingle, and women will be grabbed by him.
Gross.
Yeah, he's horrible. So yeah, just like basically you can't sling a dead cat without hitting like the 13 ghosts all over fucking PennHurst Asylum. And you know what PennHurst is today, Megan?
A popular rave spot?
No. Fucking slightly worse.
Oh God. Airbnb?
No, it's a Halloween like haunted tour.
Oh yeah, that makes sense though. Yeah, I can see that.
But it's so offensive.
Yeah.
I have a big problem with it personally. Maybe that's just because like I really fucking hate those kinds of attractions, but also like
it's America. Like if we can exploit shit, like we will.
Well, I don't think that we should. And it's still what it does is it points out the continued exploitation of people with mental disabilities.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole bit of the thing, is like people are dressed up as like patients and like
like, oh, so it's not just like a haunted tour, it's like haunted house. Like people
that's what I'm saying. It's like a haunted attraction where you come through and there's like a haunted maze and there's actors dressed up as doctors and patients.
I mean, like that's pretty gross, but like unfortunately a lot of places do that.
I know, but it's
Idaho State Penitentiary does it.
Gross, though. It's just like my opinion, man.
Yeah, I get that.
But I'm ready to speculate wildly if you are.
Okay, I've already definitely thrown out some
vampires. That's a legitimate concern.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Ghouls.
Absolutely. Also, like, it's not like there's not a lot to speculate about here. Like, obviously, this place is haunted. If any place has a right to be haunted.
Yeah, I'd be curious to go. I think that would be like an interesting place to go and see if it really feels as spooky as everyone makes it out to be.
I would be so fucking scared to go in there. Could you imagine me in that place? Like, you've seen me just like in the hallway of the home we both lived in at 10:30 at night when we heard a bump.
Yeah.
Imagine me now in the dilapidated PennHurst Asylum.
Yeah, I just think the history would be really interesting to like go and read all the plaques. Like,
they don't have fucking plaques, dude.
They don't have plaques up of like,
no, it's just like decaying. They like got everybody out of there, and then like immediately afterwards I was born, and then they're just like, so should we just leave it? Should we just all fucking walk away and never speak of it again? That's what I'm gonna do.
That's disappointing that there isn't just like at least like a monument or
there's
something.
There's like a commemorative society, but
that like sort of explains like this is what happened here.
Yeah, but it's really fucked up.
Yeah.
Seems like the big moneymaker is the haunted maze or like the haunted asylum that you walk through.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people from the historical society who are like, yeah, so like my family members like died here.
Yeah.
Super not cool.
That's tough. I mean, that's shitty. It's really shitty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, very sad that all that stuff happened, you know.
Yeah.
It's,
But I would be intrigued to go into it because I like old buildings that are dilapidated. Maybe make some spray paint and add my own penis to the wall.
yeah, yeah.
Probably not.
Do a little satanic rituals, right? Right?
The veil feels like the look on your fucking face right now, dude. Never want to go to these places. And the fucking problem is that we've set up this formula where like we have to go to these things together now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which like I like low key, like I think that I would rather. Okay, let's play a haunted places. Would you rather?
Oh, okay.
Would you rather spend a night in the PennHurst Asylum, OBS, or the Lizzie Borden house?
Oh, that's tough. You know, my sister-in-law is gonna stay in that house actually.
Yeah, I know. I'm super excited. That's what made me think of that
Halloween.
one.
I don't know. I think the Lizzie Borden one would be really interesting. Also, just generally more comfortable. Maybe because I'm
Okay.
lazy. Like,
Okay.
there's couches and like beds.
And, like, would you rather stay all night on the Queen Mary or at the Stanley Hotel?
A Stanley Hotel is in like that's the fucking the Shining one, right?
Yes, but it's very haunted in its own right.
Probably. Man, that's tough. I would really want to do both.
Yeah.
Like probably the Stanley Hotel because I think it's just more interesting.
It's pretty. That one's actually like conceivable for us.
Yeah, I think that would be a really fun one to do. So,
okay, would you rather? I'll do one more and then we'll, yeah. Would you rather hike the New Jersey Pine Barrens where the like creepy ass fucking weird shit happens all the time and there's like the Jersey Devil and like a myriad of other creepy fucking shit? Would you rather go on a hike through those woods or go on a hike through that creepy fucking forest in Japan where everybody goes to kill themselves?
I'd probably stay stateside. So
no, like this is just like a would you rather, like there's no object, like it's just
yeah, no, in general I really don't want to hike in creepy places. To me that is scarier than like going to haunted locations.
I know, that's why I picked the hike thing
because they feel very like exposed, you know what I mean? Like you don't have a place
like you're being hunted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. What are yours? So which ones would you rather do? Because you didn't. So Asylum or Lizzie?
Neither, because both of them sound horrible.
You have to pick one though. That's the fucking rule.
No, I know. I'll stay with you at the Lizzie Borden house.
Okay.
I'm gonna take my happy-go-lucky ass over to the Queen Mary.
Okay.
And Japanese creature things, like ghost things, scare me more than anything else in the whole wide world. And Sam and Dean, I feel like, have taught me some valuable lessons in how to handle stateside critters. So I'm going to go walk through the Pine Barren Flats.
Yeah.
Or the Barren Pine Flats, Pine Flat Barrens.
Also, I mean, if the Japanese ghosts speak Japanese, you wouldn't be able to fucking understand them. If they're like, I think you like, you wouldn't
could get the point across.
Yeah, maybe.
I have watched enough Japanese horror films, and by that I mean 3, before I was like, listen, I'm not watching any more of these.
Yeah, and honestly,
at some point,
to me, what's scarier than like the Jersey Devil area is more like Appalachian Mountains. Like that to me is some scarier shit. Just because that's.
Well,
I know like you grew up there, and so like I don't know if that shit bothers you as much, but like I'm on like Skinwalker TikTok and stuff, and it's always referenced like Appalachian Mountains, like that.
Yeah,
is, like,
no, I know. I grew up there. There's Nick even commented on it when we were there. He was like, "There's something about this place. It feels very different than anywhere. Like it wants you to stay." It's like, and it's not just in a benign way. Like it wants to keep you here.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
I got goosebumps. That's creepy. Ooh.
yeah, like it's not always in like a bad way, but it's not perfectly benign either.
Yeah. I
But
guess
it
I
shows
think
up
of like missing 411 stuff, right? Is
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
all East Coast. I mean, not all of it's East Coast, but I think some of the scarier ones are. So,
Well, that's because the East Coast is terrifying.
yeah. I don't know. I've never been to the East Coast. I don't think Florida counts. So,
No. I mean, it is technically literally part of the East Coast, but like, and there's some spooky ass fucking shit down there. Don't even get me started on swamps. I won't go into a swamp. I mean, like, swamps.
yeah. I don't
The
know.
creatures, the literal alive creatures that are on our scientific record and like we know that they exist are in swamps. Fuck that noise. I would take PenHurst over the Everglades any day.
I don't know. I think it'd be fun to do like a tour. Anywho, we're getting like way fucking off track. Do you have another one to talk about, or is that all we're talking about?
No, I was talking about PenHurst Asylum today.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't like just leading.
Yeah, no, honestly, that would have been a really, really long one to do. Talking about more than one, dude.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
no, it's just one that's always like really terrified me is the idea of being trapped in a mental asylum. I don't know, because I'm not the like most typical of the neuros out there. It's
Is it
always
like
like been like a worry that like one day I'll get trapped.
is it like one of those things like a current fear of, or like more of the Outlander, if I fall back in time, I'm, will be perceived a certain way and will be put into
Very much
mental
that,
asylum.
and that absolutely 100%, but also the what if things take a hard like Handmaid's Tale left? What's
Ooh.
that gonna look like for me? They're just gonna take me out back and shoot me because it's gonna be easier than dealing with me in the long run. Like for fucking real. Like yeah. I just said like 80 times in that sentence, but
this is when like homesteading and like building yourself a little fortress seems like a really good idea. If
right, like I'm just gonna go
society collapses.
I'm just gonna start digging a moat in suburban Boise right now. It feels like a grand call.
Yeah, I think that's a really excellent idea. I think that's a quick way to
the
not
HOA get yourself will not have anything to say about that, nor will my landlady / best friend.
Yeah, no, she'll be like totally like, wow, this is a great idea.
No, Corley will be really into it. She'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? I'd be like, I'm building us a moat for when society collapses. And she'll be like,
that's what a sane person will do.
Are you doing? Sure. And then I'll just smile.
Winning smile. That's, I love it. I love it. That's scary though. That's curious to see pictures of it, and especially if you can find the pictures of the lady in white in the window.
Yes, I'm gonna definitely try to find that. It was in a the episode of Haunted History that I watched, so I think I can probably find it online. And like, Side Up History Channel, what's up, History Channel? Yeah, we know you need the promotions from like the fat cats over here at Tin Hat Time.
Oh yeah, totally. The very historically accurate history.
Oh my god, the minutes of research that we do before we come to you.
The minutes of research that history.com does. I mean, or the History Channel.
God, dude. History Channel is some good shit.
I think they read like the backs of books and like the titles, and then like that's it. They're like, we got the gist of it.
Like, fuck your Cliff Notes, Cliff or whoever. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I feel like we've covered the PenHurst Asylum. We chit-chatted a good bit. I think that's the podcast formula, is it not? Yeah. And then the most important part of the formula is, as always, to remember, guys, to rate, review, subscribe, follow. Where can they find us, Megan?
On Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and a bunch of other places. Anchor.
Loving the confidence in your voice.
And so many places. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok.
So good.
If you have a story to tell us, send us an email at tinhattimepodcast@gmail.com, or slide into our DMs on Instagram.
Slide on in there. And yeah, guess what, you guys? There's a fucking TikTok posted. What?
There's
so
two.
maybe Oh
There's
my,
two.
what?
Oh my
There's
God,
two.
what?
Big update in the podcast news realm, you guys. There's 2 full TikToks out there. Get our views up, motherfuckers. Okay, yeah. So we love you, and we'll see you eventually.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.